Hello Wargamers, it's me Callum from Tabletop Banter, and today is going to be the first video of another new series. I'll probably call it For the Emperor, and it's basically a Space Marine reboot. Now, for those of you who have been watching the channel for a little while now, you'll already know I have a Space Marine chapter of my own called the Kakarian Crimsons. Well, they're getting a complete overhaul. I am stripping down models, I'm repainting them with a slightly different scheme, although it keeps the same kind of theme. I'm looking back into the backstory and everything and really just taking it apart. I've written a 2,000 point list which I want to make, and I'm going to take my time to get there, and we're going to go through it. You'll come through the journey with me. And yeah, so this whole series is just going to be the Space Marine reboot, taking it from where it was and saying, right, okay, it was alright, but I kind of got to the point where I was just buying secondhand stuff because it was cheap instead of because of what I wanted. So now I'm going to go, okay, I'll go a bit slower. I've got some armies I can play with. I'm not in a rush. Let's take these guys and let's make them what I want them to be. So this introductory video is going to be really looking at the heart of the theme I'm going with and who they are, who the Kakarian Crimsons are. So let's start from the beginning. Once upon a time, I suppose. So anyone who's familiar with the Crimson Fists will know that they have a home planet called Rindsworld, and it was invaded by an Orkwarg, one of the biggest Orkwargs of the modern 40k history, if you like. I think it was War Boss Snagrod. It's a book I'm hoping to read this winter, actually. I hope you should be getting it for Christmas. Let's hope. So anyway, the idea is Rindsworld, under attack. Huge orc mob cutting down Space Marines. Now, this might not be something that happens very often, so it's crushed the Crimson Fists. They got taken down to such a small amount that they only really had their veterans left, and that's their big thing. Well, I'm going to interject a piece of fluff into this. So, the battle on Rindsworld. There is a strange occurrence in the warp that drags a company of Crimson Fists away, and it takes them from their home planet and throws them into another sector. Now, this is where they end up on the planet of Kakarius with next to nothing. They have no transports. They've got limited troop numbers, and they are fighting to survive. So this part of a company, because not all of them made it through the warp unharmed. Many of them had to be put down by their own brothers because they had manifested possessions and such in the chaosy way. So they were down to bare minimum. They set themselves a quest to find Rindsworld and save their chapter, because as far as they're aware, they were right up against the ropes, and their chapter could be extinct. These could be the remaining Crimson Fists. They are not in full contact with the Imperium yet. They're still rebirthing their own chapter. So this is where the Kakarian Crimsons come together. This is where they group themselves with each other, and they go out to the nearest hive city and rebuild from scratch. They do their recruiting. They speak with they get the local tech marines, if you like, the serfs, the servitors. They train them. Everyone is then retrained. So the whole idea of this chapter is it's a new beginning, but one with an intent. They are looking to avenge their brothers, and to find Rindsworld and, I suppose, reignite that Crimson Fist thing. Although they are now a separate chapter, they want to be there for them, knowing that the Crimson Fists have dwindled numbers. So the main theme with this was it couldn't be anything too elite, but with a little bit in there, obviously, because of the travelling through the warp and everything. So the build I'm going with is scouts, a big group of Stern Guard, tactical marines, and then some simple vehicles like a Dakar Pred and a couple of drop pods and rhinos. And then there'll be a librarian, as he was manifested from the warp whilst he was making this journey through the warp. It messed with his psychic abilities and has changed him into a librarian now, so they have a librarian. And so basically it's just this growth of a chapter from the devastation at Rin's world to being thrown through the warp to an abandoned planet where they had to rely on helping the community and gaining their trust, if you like, and finding out a bit of the history of that world as well, which I'll probably go into a bit more detail in a different video. I'm going to try and keep this hobby and fluff like alternating and stuff like that, so you can really get a whole picture of this new chapter I'm forging, essentially, or the reboot for a chapter I'm forging. So yeah, so they come from moving to this home planet to then making their fortress, their monastery, and rebuilding in search of the Crimson Fists. So with that in mind, I'm stripping down, I'm rebasing, I'm repainting. You'll notice some changes in colour scheme, but they're minor, so I'll go over those in another video. Whilst I still have some that are painted as the old scheme, so I'll put them side by side. You'll get to see the difference in painting ability as well, because I've come a long way since May, and you can really see that when you put the two side by side. So yeah, if you've seen my Twitter page already, you'll know I'm doing some painting. I'll leave a link in the description below in case you're not following. I have a bigger following on there than I do on here at the moment because I'm trying to build this up. But yeah, so Kokarian Crimsons, they're being rebooted, they're having a change, and I want to take you on this journey with me. So thank you very much for watching. It's been me, Callum from Tabletop Banter. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment below, let me know what you think of the idea of this fluff, and what you want to see in this army, how you think you would take the direction of being thrust through the warp and that kind of thing. How would you rebuild? And yeah, don't forget to subscribe, because it's the subscribers that make me want to keep making these videos, and keep making me push to put more content out there, because I know that once a week isn't quite enough, and I want to be doing 2 or 3 times a week consistently, and that can be hard, so I'm trying. You have to bear with me because I've got exams coming up in January, so I'm trying to pre-record a lot of stuff over winter while I'm off. So yeah, anyway, thank you very much for watching. It's been me, Callum from Tabletop Banter. Don't forget, have fun.